Chapter 3952. After about half an hour, the giant ape undead spirit was extremely weak. The 36 exorcism runes pressed down on the giant ape undead spirit. The giant ape undead spirit let out an indignant roar and turned into ashes in the golden light. A powerful undead spirit had been killed by the combined forces of the Yaksha tribe elites. The area was quiet once again. Thick Yin-Chi surged in from all directions and the area was once again shrouded in thick Yin-Chi. However, not long after, another terrifying roar broke the silence. Following this, rays of brilliant golden light were emitted as the 36 sets of evil-suppressing talismans were unleashed, encapsulating the first dead spirit, before the two sides engaged in an intense battle. After a while, the second undead spirit was also destroyed. Just like that, the same trick was repeated. One by one, the undead spirits were lured out and then killed. Soon, 4 undead spirits had died at the hands of the Yaksha tribe's Sky Prides. The Yaksha tribe's Sky Prides were excited. There were 6 undead spirits in total and they had already killed 4. There were 2 more to go. As long as they killed the last 2, they would be able to obtain 6 strands of Yin-Chi. Although there were more than 1,000 of them, 6 strands of Yin-Chi were not enough to go around. There would definitely be a fight. However, many a little makes a mickle. Moreover, there should be more Yin-Chi in the grave of 1,000 graves. They would search for more Yin-Chi in other places after they had collected all the Yin-Chi here. There were so many elites in the Yaksha tribe. Naturally, not all of them were qualified to take part in the Heavenly Soldier test. However, some of them were qualified to take part. Who could guarantee that they would not be part of that group? More than 1,000 elites of the Yaksha tribe hid behind a large tomb and waited quietly. Some of the Sun Moon tribe members had already entered to lure the undead spirits. Although dozens of Sun Moon tribe geniuses had been killed in the previous 4 attempts to attract the dead spirits, the remaining Sun Moon tribe geniuses did not dare to disobey. They had been set up with an evil array and if they dared to disobey, they would suffer a fate worse than death. Indeed, not long after, a terrifying roar could be heard from afar. It was getting closer and closer. However, the faces of the elites of the Yaksha tribe changed. This was because there was not one roar, but 2. It came from 2 different undead spirits. The remaining 2 undead spirits had been lured over. Damn it, why did I attract 2 dead souls at the same time? These trash from the Sun Moon tribe are courting death. Many Yaksha Sky Prides roared. However, when the dead spirits approached, they had no choice but to face them head-on. They flew out from behind the great tomb and stood in the air. With the evil suppressing sigil as the core, they set up a formation. Roar! 2 different roars came from the depths of the 9 graves, shaking the void. Then, the Yaksha tribesmen saw more than 10 Sun Moon tribe geniuses flying out in a panic. With a terrifying roar, a huge claw stretched out from the thick Yin-Chi and killed a genius of the Sun Moon tribe. Damn trash, I told you to lure one out. Why did you lure 2 out? You guys, split up and lure one of them back in. Hurry! The Yakshas roared. However, the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe could not be bothered with them. Their eyes flashed viciously as they led the 2 terrifying dead spirits towards the geniuses of the Hag tribe. Damn it, you're all courting death. Attack! The Yaksha tribesmen roared. However, they could not care less about the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe. All the geniuses of the Yaksha tribe worked together and infused their divine force into the 36 evil-suppressing sigil. The 36 evil-suppressing sigil shone brightly and suppressed the 2 dead spirits. In an instant, the 2 dead spirits were surrounded by the 36 evil-suppressing sigil. The 2 dead spirits roared in anger as they attacked the evil-suppressing sigil with thick Yin-Chi. Boom boom boom. The evil-suppressing talisman trembled unceasingly. The 2 dead spirits were attacking at the same time. Some of the Yaksha geniuses who were only at the quasi-emperor level trembled violently and spat out blood. They could easily deal with 1 dead spirit, but it was difficult to deal with 2 of them at the same time. Block it. The dead spirits will be weakened by the evil-suppressing sigil. Victory is ours. A Yaksha tribesman shouted. More than 1,000 Yaksha tribesmen gritted their teeth and infused their divine force into the 36 evil suppressing sigil to suppress the 2 dead spirits, slowly weakening their strength. The 2 dead spirits were also attacking wildly. After a while, some of the Yaksha tribesmen who were not strong enough were killed. However, the Yaksha tribesmen did not dare to relax. They gritted their teeth and held on. Once they relaxed, the 2 dead spirits would rush out and they would be in greater danger. There would be more casualties. At that moment, they hated the remaining Sun-Moon tribe geniuses. They swore to themselves that after they killed the 2 dead spirits, they would make the remaining Sun-Moon tribe geniuses suffer a fate worse than death. However, the remaining Sun-Moon tribe geniuses did not run away. Instead, they stood not far away and looked coldly at the Yaksha tribesmen. Suddenly, swoosh, 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 in another direction, a few figures flew over. There were at least a few hundred of them. They are here. The Sun-Moon tribe geniuses smirked coldly. Oh no, it's the Sun-Moon tribe. The Yaksha tribesmen also noticed the few hundred figures. They were the geniuses of the Sun-Moon tribe. The few hundred Sun-Moon tribe geniuses glanced coldly at the Yaksha tribesmen and continued to fly towards the middle of the 9 graves. Damn it, they are going to snatch the Haze Chi. Damn it. The Yaksha tribesmen roared. However, they were held back by the 2 powerful dead spirits and could not be distracted. How dare you inform the other Sun-Moon tribesmen? You are digging your own graves. The Yaksha tribesmen glared at the Sun-Moon tribe geniuses and roared. So what if we die? But we will not die in vain. We will make the Yaksha tribesmen pay the price. The Sun-Moon tribe geniuses sneered, their eyes filled with madness. As they spoke, the few hundred Sun-Moon tribe geniuses were about to fly into the depths of the 9 graves. No, we cannot let them get the Haze Chi. We must kill the 2 dead spirits quickly. How can we kill the 2 dead spirits quickly? Explode the evil suppressing sigil. This is the only way. Quick! The Yaksha tribesmen quickly made up their minds. Although the evil suppressing sigil was precious, they had to give it up. Otherwise, the Sun-Moon tribe would get the Haze Chi. Furthermore, the Sun-Moon tribe would definitely attack them when they got the Haze Chi. They could not afford to be held back by the 2 dead spirits. Boom! One of the Yaksha tribesmen was very decisive and exploded the evil suppressing sigil. When the evil suppressing sigil exploded, it turned into a golden sun and pressed down on the 2 dead spirits. The entire area was filled with golden light. Chapter 3953. A set of exorcism runes exploded and dazzling golden light engulfed the 2 dead spirits like a golden ocean. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Sounds of corrosion could be heard and thick green smoke rose from the area. The 2 dead spirits let out terrifying roars and attacked with all their might. In the dazzling golden light, they could see 2 dead spirits with tattered bodies rushing out from inside. Although the self-destruction of a set of evil suppressing talismans was incomparably terrifying, it did not completely obliterate the 2 dead spirits. However, the 2 dead spirits had also suffered heavy injuries. A large portion of their rotten flesh and bones had melted. Explode again. Another roar could be heard. Boom. Another set of exorcism runes exploded and engulfed the 2 dead spirits. After 2 sets of exorcism runes exploded, the 2 dead spirits were severely injured. However, they were not completely destroyed. Then, the 3rd set of exorcism runes exploded. This time, the 2 dead spirits were completely finished off. In the Golden Sea, they turned into ashes and dissipated. They had sacrificed 3 sets of exorcism runes to destroy the 2 dead spirits. However, the Yaksha tribesmen did not care about the pain. After killing the 2 dead spirits, they rushed to the center of the 9 graves. Kill the Sun-Moon tribesmen. Kill. The Yaksha tribesmen roared and thousands of Yaksha tribe geniuses rushed to the center of the 9 graves. At that moment, Lu Ming moved. Now that the dead spirits had been killed, the Sun-Moon tribe and the Yaksha tribe would fight for the Haze Chi. This was a good opportunity for him to take advantage of the chaos. When both sides took the Haze Chi and kept it, it would be difficult for him to get another Haze Chi. Lu Ming turned into a gust of wind and rushed to the center of the 9 graves at a shocking speed. The 9 graves were connected and there was a circle in the middle. The haze qi was thick and the temperature was high. When Lu Ming arrived, he saw that the Sun Moon tribe and the Yaksha tribe were already engaged in a fierce battle. Although the Sun Moon tribe only had a few hundred people, which was less than the Yaksha tribe, the Sun Moon tribe members were all elites and were very strong. In an instant, they were locked in a fierce battle with the Yaksha tribe geniuses. The two sides fought fiercely and many people died. Lu Ming's gaze swept around rapidly and he immediately found his target. Among the places with strong sinister aura, there were 6 places that caught Lu Ming's attention. The haze qi in these 6 places was extremely thick and it was almost tangible. There were 6 haze qi in these 6 places and it was just as the Yaksha tribesmen had said. The battle around these 6 places were also the most intense. Lu Ming carefully leaped toward the nearest place. When Lu Ming approached them, the Yaksha tribe and Sun Moon tribe members noticed him. The people on both sides were slightly taken aback, somewhat dumbfounded. They were from the haze of the tribe and of the haze moon tribe, the haze of the tribesmen of the tribe, haze. Lu Ming was stunned for a moment before he seized the opportunity and dashed toward the sinister aura. You! How dare you target the haze qi? I will send you to hell. The Yaksha tribesmen of the two sides were enraged and they attacked Lu Ming. Rays of divine light almost engulfed Lu Ming. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming cast the great divine wind skill and flashed continuously, avoiding a portion of the attacks. The remaining attacks were deflected by the silver spear that Lu Ming transformed from Qiuqiu. Thereafter, Lu Ming dashed through and dashed into the thick sinister aura. Lu Ming found a haze qi in the thick haze qi. Lu Ming grabbed the haze qi in his hand. However, Lu Ming's face darkened in the next instant. It had no spirituality. This wisp of sinister aura was exactly the same as the wisp of sinister aura that Lu Ming had obtained previously. It was also a sinister aura without spirituality. What bad luck! Lu Ming muttered and his face darkened. Kill, brat, hand over the haze qi. At that moment, the Yaksha tribesmen and the Sun Moon tribesmen had charged over. Both sides aimed their attacks at Lu Ming. Anyway, Lu Ming was a human and not a member of the Yaksha tribesmen. They would kill him first. You want the haze qi? Here. As Lu Ming dodged the attacks, he threw the haze qi in his hand out. When the haze qi flew out, the Yaksha tribesmen's eyes lit up. The haze qi is mine. It's mine. Go to hell. The elites of the two clans instantly abandoned Lu Ming and engaged in an intense fight over the sinister aura. Lu Ming took the opportunity to escape and tried to dash to the other side. However, not everyone was fooled by Lu Ming. A golden trident pierced toward Lu Ming. There was a gust of wind and a terrifying force blasted the space. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming glanced around and saw a genius from the Yaksha tribesmen charging towards him. He was a terrifying genius who had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer. Clang. Lu Ming waved his silver spear and blocked the trident's attack. With the help of the trident's attack, he retreated rapidly. The Yaksha tribesman was surprised. He hadn't thought that Lu Ming would be able to block his attack. Then he continued to attack Lu Ming. When he saw Lu Ming throw out the sinister aura, he did not snatch it. This was because he had already guessed that the sinister aura thrown out by Lu Ming was most likely not up to standard and did not have spirituality. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Lu Ming hollered coldly. His silver spear pierced out. With a loud bang, it collided with the Yaksha clan's prodigy. Even though the Yaksha tribesman was strong and had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, which was the same level as Qiuqiu, he wasn't as strong as Qiuqiu. He couldn't kill someone who was 2 levels higher than him. After that, Lu Ming didn't waste any time. His silhouette flickered and he moved towards the next haze qi. Over there, the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe and the Yaksha tribesmen were fighting fiercely. Before Lu Ming could rush over, there was a roar coming from inside. Haze qi that has no spirit. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Loud roars accompanied the sounds of battle. Haze qi that has no spirit? Lu Ming's face darkened. He turned around and moved towards the third haze chi. This time, the battle was extremely fierce. The ground was covered with corpses of the geniuses of the two clans. Bastards of the Sun-Moon tribe, die. The geniuses of the Yaksha tribesmen were extremely strong and they forced the Sun-Moon tribesmen to retreat. Suddenly, a cold holy light flashed past. Then, one of the geniuses of the Yaksha tribesmen froze on the spot. Then with a loud bang he was smashed into pieces. Shush shush, the Sun-Moon divine light flashed continuously and a few geniuses of the Yaksha tribesmen were killed. Not far away, a young man flew towards them. The young man was in a black robe and his face was cold. He looked a little pale and he had a feminine aura. He was surrounded by the Sun-Moon chi and his aura was extremely oppressive. Chapter 3954. Yaksha tribe, go to hell. The genius of the Sun-Moon tribe said coldly and attacked continuously. No one from the Yaksha tribe could stop him and they were killed one after another. It's In Jioling. One of the candidates of the Universe Genius list, In Jioling, he is here too. There was a burst of exclamations from the Yaksha tribe and their voices were filled with horror. One of the candidates of the Universe Genius list, no wonder he is so powerful. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. In the primitive universe, only 100 people were listed on the Universe Genius list. These 100 people were definitely the most powerful and each of them had unparalleled talent. Of course, there were also some people who were not listed on the Universe Genius list but had the talent to be listed on the Universe Genius list. These people were called the candidates of the Universe Genius list. These candidates did not care about cultivation but only about talent. These people had the potential to be listed on the Universe Genius list. For example, the top 5 on the top 100 quasi-emperors list were known as the candidates for the Universe Genius list. This was because their talents were shockingly high. It was just that their cultivation levels were not high enough. After a few years, they would have the possibility of making it to the Universe Genius list. There were many people who had this possibility in the universe. Lu Ming estimated that Xiao Wuji, who had turned into Blood Azura, and Ling Yue, who had evolved, had this talent but had not spread it out yet. The person in front of him, In Jioling of the Sun-Moon tribe, was one of them. He had the cultivation of the second-level God-Emperor realm but his combat strength was extremely terrifying. Several geniuses of the fourth-level God-Emperor realm were killed by him in seconds. In Jioling's body was shrouded in Sun-Moon divine light. Wherever he passed, the geniuses of the Yaksha tribe were killed by him one by one. The remaining geniuses of the Yaksha tribe did not dare to compete with In Jioling and ran away frantically. No one from the Yaksha tribe in this area dared to stay. Similarly, the geniuses of the Sun-Moon tribe did not dare to compete with In Jioling for the Haze Chi. When they saw In Jioling coming, they kept retreating. In Jioling waved his hand and caught the Haze Chi in his hand. But immediately he frowned and whispered, "It has no spirituality, useless." Although he said so, In Jioling still kept the Haze Chi. The Sun-Moon tribe cultivated the path of extreme Yin. Even the Haze Chi, which had no spirituality, was very useful to them. Lu Ming also retreated. He also didn't want to fight against In Jioling. This kind of genius had many trump cards, and it was very likely that he had a powerful weapon in his hand, which was very difficult to deal with. Lu Ming rushed to the fourth location. With Qiuqiu's power he easily killed his way through the crowd of the two major races and obtained the baleful Yin Qi. However, it still had no spirituality. What's going on? Logically speaking, with such dense Yin Qi, the baleful Yin Qi that was nurtured should possess spirituality. Why isn't there any spirituality? This time, even Bone Devil felt strange. At this moment, the remaining 2 strands of baleful Yin energy were also obtained by others. However, they did not possess any intelligence. However, the prodigies of the 2 races were still engaged in a fierce battle. The Yaksha tribe dared to use the prodigies of the Sun-Moon tribe as bait to lure the dead spirits. How could the Sun-Moon tribe let it go? The battle between the 2 sides was very fierce. Lu Ming just wanted to take the opportunity to retreat. A terrifying Sun-Moon divine light swept towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming quickly blocked it with his silver long spear. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force coming towards him. His body shook violently and he retreated rapidly. Yin Jiuling. In the process of Lu Ming retreating, he found that the one who attacked him was one of the candidates of the Universe Genius list, Yin Jiuling's. A human actually sneaked in and wanted to fish in troubled waters. If I let you leave, what would others think of me? Yin Jiuling stepped on the air and said coldly. 2 strands of sun-moon divine light were constantly rotating around his body. Swish. In the next moment, Yin Jiuling flashed like a gust of wind and arrived in front of Lu Ming. 2 strands of sun-moon divine light slashed towards Lu Ming like 2 divine swords. Lu Ming burst out with all his strength. Forbidden power poured into the silver long spear and merged with Qiuqiu's power. The silver long spear stabbed towards Yin Jiuling. The silver long spear also had the power of the Great God Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique. Boom! The 2 attacks collided once again. However, the result was still that Lu Ming was no match for Yin Jiuling. He retreated rapidly and the blood in his body kept rolling over and over. Yin Jiuling was indeed one of the candidates of the Universe Genius list. His combat strength was too high. Although his cultivation was only at the 2nd level of the Divine Emperor realm, his combat strength was amazing. He was even stronger than Qiuqiu and Jian Wushuang. Such combat strength was enough to cross 4 realms to kill an enemy. It was simply incredible and terrifying to cross 4 realms to kill an enemy at the Divine Emperor realm. This was the top genius of the entire primitive universe. He was almost standing at the top of all the geniuses. It was unimaginable in the Taishu dynasty or ordinary universe-level forces. In the Divine Emperor realm, it was already a genius among geniuses to be able to cross 1 realm to fight. It could only be said that the primitive universe was too big and there were too many geniuses. Therefore, the gap between geniuses was also extremely huge. However, Yin Jiuling's face was extremely gloomy when he failed to kill Lu Ming in 1 move. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied. What a powerful metallic life form. I want this metallic life form. Yin Jiuling was extremely overbearing. It was as if he had announced the ownership of Qiuqiu. He controlled the Tai Yin divine light and rushed towards Lu Ming like a ray of light. He waved his palms and a terrifying palm force accompanied by the Tai Yin divine light bombarded towards Lu Ming. Wherever it passed, the void turned into chaos. Come on! Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He went up and fought with Yin Jiuling. He had the cooperation of Qiuqiu and his strength was also very strong. Although he was at a disadvantage, it was not easy for Yin Jiuling to defeat him completely. In the blink of an eye, the 2 had exchanged more than a dozen moves. Divine Origin Power Factor, 6 Awakenings, 5 shackles of the secret technique of origin have been severed, Lu Ming whispered, sighing in his heart. Yin Jiuling was only at the 2nd layer of the Divine Emperor realm. It was really terrifying that he could do this. This was just the surface. In addition, the secret technique of physique and some other attacking means were also very terrifying. Together, these made Yin Jiuling's terrifying combat strength. No one dared to get close to the battle between the 2. When they looked at Lu Ming, they were full of shock. Lu Ming was unexpectedly able to contend with Yin Jiuling. Although he relied on the metallic life form, it was still shocking enough. Oi, Tai Yin Divine Pagoda. Yin Jiuling had lost his patience. A black pagoda appeared in his hand. The pagoda exuded a terrifying aura. Then, rays of Tai Yin divine light spread out from the pagoda. A total of 12 rays of Tai Yin divine light shot towards Lu Ming. Chapter 3955. 12 divine Yin lights flew out at once. Powerful weapon. Lu Ming's heart sank. A terrifying genius like Yin Jiuling indeed had a powerful weapon. This pagoda was Yin Jiuling's powerful weapon and its power was extremely terrifying. The people of the Yaksha tribe saw this and their faces changed drastically as they retreated frantically. Although the Yaksha tribe also had candidates for the Universe Talents list, they did not come here this time. No one here was Yin Jiuling's opponent. At this time, a bead appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was the Gale bead. He was no match for Yin Jiuling. After Yin Jiuling took out his powerful weapon, He definitely had to take out his powerful weapon to fight against Yin Zhouling. Otherwise, he would only die. Boom. Under the guidance of the great god wind technique, an amazing gale burst out from the gale bead and swept forward. Rumble. 12 divine Yin lights collided with the gale. A kind of extreme Yin force and a kind of extreme Yang force continued to collide and caused a big explosion. However, in the end, the gale was actually broken and a few rays of lunar divine light charged toward Lu Ming. Even though they were all great killing weapons, there were differences in power. At the same time, it was also related to the strength of the controller. The stronger the controller, the higher the cultivation, the stronger the power of the weapon could be. Yin Zhouling's cultivation was at the second level God Emperor realm, so he could control the weapon with greater power. Buzz? Lu Ming brandished the silver long spear. Many spear shadows appeared in the void and bombarded the lunar divine light. Eventually, the lunar divine light was blocked. However, Yin Zhouling's second wave of attack had arrived. Kill! Yin Zhouling shouted and his body was filled with Tai Yin Qi. He had awakened 6 origin source divine power factors and injected it into the divine Yin pagoda. The divine Yin pagoda lit up and a terrifying aura burst out. Rays of divine light rushed out again. The other geniuses of the Sun tribe and the Yaksha tribe were alarmed by the battle between the two. They stopped and looked at Lu Ming and Yin Zhouling. Who is that human? He is so terrifying that he can compete with Yin Zhouling. Moreover, he is only at the quasi-emperor realm. On the side, many people were discussing in shock. Although Lu Ming relied on external forces, it was also a kind of strength to be able to rely on external forces. For example, ordinary people would not be able to wield all kinds of weapons of mass destruction. They would not be able to display their power. Those who could use them were monstrous geniuses. They did not recognize Lu Ming. After all, Lu Ming had changed his appearance and they did not know who Lu Ming was according to life origin aura. Swoosh, 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 beams of divine light of Yin charged toward Lu Ming, slashing through the void with terrifying power. On the other hand, Lu Ming continued to guide the gale to fight back. Both sides collided fiercely. However, Lu Ming was still no match for the gale bead. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Swoosh, 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 osh, 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 swoosh, 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 osh, osh. However, Yin Zhouling had already rushed over. The lunar divine pagoda launched the second wave of attack towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming could only use his strong gale pearl to defend himself. However, he had to block the remaining lunar divine light and wipe out the strong gale pearl. As a result, the strong gale pearl's power couldn't be fully unleashed. For a moment, Lu Ming fell into a passive position. My cultivation is still too weak. Lu Ming frowned. He was only at the quasi-emperor realm. His foundation was too weak to unleash the full power of the Gale Pearl. If he broke through to the godly emperor layer, even if he only had the first layer of the godly emperor layer, the power of the Gale he could summon would increase dramatically. Defeating Yin Zhouling wouldn't be a problem. Now, he could only use the mysterious ice rod. Although with Lu Ming's cultivation, it was impossible for him to unleash even 1/10,000th of the obsidian staff's power, it was still more powerful than the Gale Pearl. In any case, no one recognized him. Even if he used the mysterious ice rod, no one would know that it was his. Most importantly, there were no seniors here. They were all young people, so they might not know how precious the mysterious ice rod was. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming once again pulled out the cracks in the Gale Pearl. The wind roared and swept across the sky, shattering the void. The gale and the divine sunlight were constantly fighting against each other. At this time, the mysterious ice rod had already appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Boom! The mysterious ice rod rapidly grew in size. Like a mountain, it exploded outwards. The remaining divine sunlight was directly destroyed by the mysterious ice rod. The mysterious ice rod continued to attack Yin Zhouling. There is one more thing. How is it possible? Yin Zhouling let out an incredible roar and retreated. At the same time, he activated the Divine Sun Pagoda with all his strength, trying to resist the attack. However, he was still one step too late. The Divine Sunlight in the Divine Sun Pagoda had not been activated and the mysterious ice rod was about to hit him. Yin Jiuling could only control the divine sun pagoda to block in front of him. Boom! The mysterious ice rod heavily bombarded the divine sun pagoda, bursting out an earth-shattering roar. Then, the divine sun pagoda flew back and hit Yin Jiuling. The 9 layers of body protection divine light on Yin Jiuling's body were directly shattered. He vomited blood and his body flew out. 2 great killing weapons? How can there be 2 great killing weapons? The geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe and the Yaksha tribe shouted in shock. It was already very terrifying for a person to be able to control a great killing weapon. The conditions were very harsh and it was impossible for one to do so unless one was a top genius. Moreover, the more great killing weapons one had, the better it was. It also depended on whether one could exert the power of the great killing weapon. If one could not exert the power, it would be useless no matter how many great killing weapons one had. Lu Ming had a forbidden body. Even if he controlled a few great killing weapons, he could still exert a few moves. After Lu Ming injured Yin Jiuling, he continued to attack Yin Jiuling with the mysterious ice rod in his hand. Yin Jiuling's eyes were filled with horror and he roared, "Brat, I will take revenge sooner or later." As soon as his voice fell, Yin Jiuling was wrapped in the sun-moon divine light and turned into a ray of light, leaving the place quickly. Lu Ming wanted to chase after him, but he found that Yin Jiuling's speed was very fast. He was really like a ray of light and Lu Ming could not catch up with him. Lu Ming was at a disadvantage in terms of cultivation. If he had the cultivation of the Divine Emperor realm, he would definitely not be slower than Yin Jiuling with the Great God Wind skill. Now, he could only watch Yin Jiuling escape. After Yin Jiuling escaped, Lu Ming put away the mysterious ice rod and his figure flickered, leaving the place. No one dared to stop Lu Ming. With Lu Ming's terrifying combat strength, they would be killed if they went up against him. There is still no evil Yin Qi. What's going on? After leaving the place where the 9 graves were connected, Lu Ming frowned. Even Guillemot found it strange. Logically speaking, the layout of the 9 graves should be able to breed evil Yin Qi with spirituality. But in the end, the 6 evil Yin Qi did not have spirituality. Do I really have to attack those terrifying tombs? Lu Ming muttered and felt a headache. Chapter 3956. In the end, Lu Ming shook his head. It was impossible to attack such a large tomb. The dead spirits in the tomb were extremely terrifying. Going there would be suicide. Even the Yaksha tribe and Sun Moon tribe did not dare to go, even though they had so many evil suppressing seals. Guillemot, where did you hide the ancient secret skill? Is it possible for the Haze Qi to be born there? Lu Ming asked Guillemot. He planned to obtain the 3,000 ancient secret skills first before looking for the Haze Qi. That place is in the core of the myriad burial grounds. It is in a large tomb. That tomb is the Emperor's tomb. Guillemot said, Emperor's tomb, hive. Lu Ming almost cursed. The so-called Emperor's tomb was the Emperor of the tombs. It was located above all the tombs and the living beings buried there were definitely the most terrifying. In that case, how terrifying would the dead spirits that evolved from those living beings be? Wouldn't Lu Ming be courting death if he went there? If Guillemot hid the ancient secret skill there, how could he get it? Don't worry. Since I called you here, I'm sure you can get it. Although there is a peerless Almighty buried in the Emperor's tomb, that Almighty didn't turn into a dead spirit after his death. Turning into a dead spirit depends entirely on luck. It doesn't mean that the more powerful you are, the more you can turn into a dead spirit. Guillemot explained. So it did not turn into a dead spirit. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. However, Guillemot changed his tone and said, However, there are many small tombs around the Emperor's tomb to protect it. Many of these small tombs have turned into dead spirits. If you want to enter the Emperor's tomb, you have to go through these small tombs. Furthermore, the Haze Qi there is extremely dense. There is a high chance that the Haze Qi will be born there. Lu Ming immediately decided to head to the Emperor's tomb. He could obtain the ancient secret skill and search for the Haze Qi with spirit. Following Guillemot's instructions, Lu Ming headed towards the Emperor's tomb. The imperial tomb was at the core of the myriad tombs, where the Yin energy was the densest. However, Lu Ming had the power of the taboo and was able to resist the attack of the sinister aura. Along the way, Lu Ming avoided the terrifying tombs as well as the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe and the Yaksha tribe. A few hours later, Lu Ming arrived at a vast land. This region was very strange. From a distance, it was possible to see an incomparably majestic mountain up ahead. However, it was not a mountain, but rather an enormous necropolis. An enormous necropolis, larger than any of the other necropolises Lu Ming had seen along the way. Surrounding the large tomb were smaller tombs. These smaller tombs were like guards. Actually, he was not wrong. The creatures buried in these small tombs were indeed the guards of the terrifying existence in the emperor's tomb. When that terrifying existence was buried, he had killed a group of guards and used them as his tomb guards. Hoo-hoo, the Yin energy was rolling and it was even colder than ice. Lu Ming had to cross the tombs of the guards to enter the emperor's tomb. Without hesitation, Lu Ming turned into a gust of wind and flew forward. Everywhere he passed, the thick Yin energy was broken. Suddenly, a terrifying roar could be heard. A figure dashed toward Lu Ming at high speed. Then, a terrifying roar was heard. A blade light broke through the Yin energy and slashed towards Lu Ming. Without hesitation, Lu Ming swept the silver spear in his hand towards the blade light. Since arriving here, Lu Ming had Qiu turn into an armor to cover his body. He was fully armed and ready for battle. Boom! The blade light slashed the silver spear. The silver spear vibrated violently. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he was pushed back tens of thousands of meters. He felt his blood boiling and he almost vomited blood. At this moment, Lu Ming finally saw what the existence that had attacked him looked like. It was an existence with a human body and a crocodile head. It was more than 3 meters tall and wore tattered iron armor. It held a thick saber in its hand and Yin energy soared to the sky. This was an undead spirit and it was extremely powerful. Bang! The undead spirit with a human body and a crocodile head stomped heavily on the ground. Its body was like a small mountain as it smashed towards Lu Ming. The heavy saber slashed down at Lu Ming's head. The space was directly split into 2 halves. At this time, Lu Ming did not wave the silver spear to block. In Lu Ming's left hand, a dazzling golden light suddenly burst out. Then, 16 golden runes flew out. Lu Ming took out the evil suppression rune. The evil suppression rune was undoubtedly the most effective way to deal with undead spirits. It saved him a lot of trouble and effort. Under the dazzling golden light, the crocodile head stone spirit could not help but stop. Its body made a sizzling sound and emitted bursts of black smoke. Roar! The crocodile head stone spirit kept roaring as its body kept retreating. Suppress! Lu Ming poured in the forbidden energy with all his might. The forbidden energy was too advanced. After it was poured into the evil suppression rune, the golden light of the evil suppression rune was extremely dazzling. It was as if dozens of yakshas were controlling it at the same time. Chi-chi! The crocodile head undead spirit's body was constantly corroded and its aura was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, it let out an unwilling roar and turned around to run. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. After the undead spirit escaped, Lu Ming immediately put away the evil suppression rune. After all, constantly controlling the evil suppression rune like this consumed a lot of energy. Lu Ming continued to fly towards the emperor's tomb. However, not long after, another undead spirit attacked him. This time, several undead spirits attacked Lu Ming from all directions. Moreover, these undead spirits seemed to belong to the same race. They were the same as the undead spirit that Lu Ming had encountered before. They also had a human body and a crocodile head. They wore tattered iron armor and held a thick saber. Lu Ming wouldn't fight these undead spirits head-on. He took out the evil suppression rune and scared the undead spirits away. After that, Lu Ming encountered more than 10 undead spirits. All of them were scared away by the evil suppression rune. Finally, Lu Ming arrived at the emperor's tomb. Something's not right. Someone went in first. The door of the tomb is open. Bone Demon shouted. Lu Ming took a look. Indeed, the tombstone of the great tomb had been moved aside by a crack. "Are you sure it was sealed before?" Lu Ming asked. "Of course, there's no mistake. Someone must have gone in first. Kid, go in quickly and stop them." Bone Demon shouted. Before Bone Demon could finish his words, Lu Ming had already rushed out. In the next moment, Lu Ming had already rushed into the great tomb. In the emperor's tomb, the yin qi was so dense that it almost materialized. Lu Ming wasn't surprised. Instead, he was happy. With such a dense yin qi, the chances of yin qi with spirituality were much higher. The emperor's tomb was very spacious. There was a passage that led straight ahead. Lu Ming spread out his spiritual sense and scanned the surroundings. His figure was like a gust of wind as he rushed forward along the passage. All of a sudden, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks as he sensed a terrifying sense of danger. In the next moment, a huge pressure surged toward him from the front. Chapter 3957. A terrifying force suddenly appeared in the tomb of the emperor and surged toward Lu Ming. Without thinking, Lu Ming raised his silver spear diagonally. Like a silver rainbow, it pierced through the void and pierced toward that force. Boom! The two powerful forces collided with each other. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated and hit the wall of the imperial tomb. He felt that several of his bones were broken and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, before Lu Ming could react, a figure had already rushed towards Lu Ming. "It's him!" Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. He was a little surprised because the person who attacked him was actually Yin Jiuling. However, Yin Jiuling didn't seem to be in the right state at the moment. Yin Jiuling's body was full of Yin evil qi. His eyes were dark and there was no white in them, like two dark vortexes. His face was distorted and he looked very ferocious. Yin Jiuling roared and rushed towards Lu Ming. He clawed continuously with his hands and the space exploded, making a terrifying whistling sound. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and took out the gale pearl. Suddenly, the wind whistled and a terrifying and scorching gale swept out. The scorching gale broke through the yin qi and rushed towards Yin Jiuling. Boom! Boom! Yin Jiuling's claws grabbed the gale and there was a violent explosion. For a time, the gale was about to be broken. So strong, Lu Ming was shocked. He found that Yin Jiuling's strength was much stronger than when he fought with him before. Because at this moment, Yin Jiuling didn't use the divine Yin Pagoda at all. He didn't use the divine Yin Pagoda at all. Without using the divine Yin Pagoda, he could actually compete with the gale head-on. Such strength was terrifying. In just a few hours, how could Yin Jiuling's strength have improved so much? Lu Ming could feel that Yin Jiuling's cultivation hadn't improved and he was still at the second layer of the Divine Emperor realm. His cultivation hadn't improved but his combat strength had skyrocketed. That's not right. This guy's body has been possessed by a strand of baleful Yin Qi. Gumo said, "What? He has been possessed by the baleful Yin Qi. How is that possible?" Lu Ming was bewildered. What's impossible? When the baleful Yin Qi has spirituality, it goes one step further and gives birth to intelligence. It will be very terrifying and become a strange life form that can seize other creatures and attach itself to other creatures. Obviously, this Yin Jiuling was seized by a wisp of baleful Yin Qi that gave birth to intelligence. "This kid is completely finished," Guillemot said. Lu Ming was really shocked. Who would have thought that on top of the baleful Yin Qi that had spirituality, there was also the baleful Yin Qi that had intelligence. It was extremely terrifying and could actually possess other living beings. Obviously, a wisp of Yin evil Qi with intelligence was born in this emperor's tomb. Yin Jiuling broke in first and was taken over by the Yin evil Qi. No wonder he became so crazy and was full of Yin evil Qi. Boom! Boom! Yin Jiuling was extremely crazy, roaring constantly and bombarding wildly. In the end, he actually completely blocked the gale that Lu Ming pulled out. Then he roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming continued to pull out the gale and the gale bead and attacked Yin Jiuling, blocking Yin Jiuling. Then, bringing the baleful Yin Qi with intelligence to the heavenly palace should be qualified, right? Lu Ming muttered. Of course, it's a higher level. How can it not be qualified? Moreover, You have to deal with this Yin Jiuling. Guemo said. But Lu Ming was curious. Why did he have to deal with him? At most, he could go to other places to find the baleful Yin Qi with intelligence. Because the ancient secret technique and other demon Dao secret techniques that I left behind are already in his body, Guemo said. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Because I used to seal the ancient secret technique and some ordinary demon Dao secret techniques in a bone bead. Now, I can clearly sense that this bone bead is in Yin Jiuling's body. Guemo continued to explain. Lu Ming understood. It turned out that he was one step behind and Yin Jiuling had obtained the secret skill left behind by Bone Demon. Then Yin Jiuling really deserved to die. Evil beast, give me your life. Lu Ming shouted, crazily pulling the power of the Gale bead. At the same time, a long staff appeared in his right hand. Xian Ice Staff. Boom. The Xian Ice Staff with a violent aura crushed towards Yin Jiuling. Boom. Yin Jiuling was directly hit by the Xian Ice Staff. He roared and retreated, coughing out a few mouthfuls of blood. The baleful Yin Qi on his body was constantly flickering. However, Yin Jiuling was fine and resisted the attack of the Xian Ice Staff. Because the rich baleful Yin Qi between heaven and earth was constantly gathering towards Yin Jiuling. Yin Jiuling's aura became stronger again. Yin Jiuling roared like a mad beast. The baleful Yin Qi between heaven and earth, like waves, was attracted by him and turned into violent energy, surging towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face was a little dignified. Yin Jiuling never used the Lunar Divine Tower. Lu Ming estimated that after Yin Jiuling was seized by the baleful Yin Qi, he could no longer use the Lunar Divine Tower. Such a great weapon had spirituality and could recognize people. After being seized, it was equivalent to not being Yin Jiuling anymore. However, he did not use his great weapon. This was the land of thousands tombs, the Emperor's tomb, a place where baleful Yin Qi was born. Yin Jiuling had a unique advantage here. He could erupt with powerful strength and was extremely difficult to kill. Just now, he was hit by the Xian Ice Staff, but he was still fine, which showed how terrifying it was. Lu Ming controlled two great weapons at the same time. It would not take long at all. Could he really kill Yin Jiuling? Lu Ming was not sure and could only go all out. Boom, boom. The power of the two great weapons erupted. First, the strong wind in the Gale bead blocked the attack of Yin Jiuling. Then, the Xian Ice Staff broke through the layers and bombarded Yin Jiuling's body. Yin Jiuling was blasted out and hit the wall. The baleful Yin Qi on his body trembled and his aura withered. However, the surrounding baleful Yin Qi continued to gather towards Yin Jiuling. His injuries were healed in an instant and his aura was even more terrifying. How can I fight this? Lu Ming was speechless. Boy, are you stupid? Use the evil suppression rune. Bone Demon reminded. Yes. Lu Ming wanted to slap himself. He was completely stunned just now and forgot to use the evil suppression rune. The baleful Yin Qi was similar to the dead spirit after all. The evil suppression rune could completely restrain it. With a thought, a set of evil suppression rune flew out, exuding a golden light and pressed against Yin Jiuling. Yin Jiuling kept roaring, black smoke rose from his body. In his dark eye sockets, there was fear and his figure retreated. Chapter 3958. Lu Ming used the evil subduing rune to repel Yin Jiuling. Yin Jiuling retreated and then turned to run. Want to leave? Say. Lu Ming shouted and chased after Yin Jiuling. However, Yin Jiuling was very fast, and while running, he controlled the Yin Qi to rush towards Lu Ming. In the Emperor's tomb, the Yin Qi was too dense, like a Yin Qi storm, completely blocking Lu Ming's vision. When Lu Ming broke through a few waves of Yin Qi, he had already lost track of Yin Jiuling. Damn it! Lu Ming was very unhappy. This time in the land of thousands of tombs, he didn't get the ancient secret technique and demon Dao secret technique left by Bone Demon, nor did he get the spiritual Yin Qi. It was the first time Lu Ming entered a place without any gains. This guy can't run away. He has my bone bead on him, I can sense his approximate location. Bone Demon said. Is he still in the Emperor's tomb? Take me there. Lu Ming said. No, he has left the Emperor's tomb. I don't think he will stay in the land of thousands of tombs. Bone Demon said. Won't stay in the land of thousands of tombs? Lu Ming asked. That's because the baleful Yin Qi has gained sentience and possessed other living beings. It will constantly devour other baleful Yin Qi to strengthen itself, especially the baleful Yin Qi with sentience. So, there are no other spiritual Yin Qi in the land of thousands of tombs. I guess they were all devoured by this wisp of Yin Qi. That's why it is so powerful. Next, if he wants to devour other Yin Qi, he will have to go to other places with dense Yin Qi. Naturally, he will have to leave the land of thousands of tombs. I can sense that he is quickly heading towards the periphery of the land of thousands of tombs, Bone Demon quickly explained. I see. Lu Ming nodded, his face a little gloomy. It wasn't that there was no spiritual Yin Qi in the land of thousands of tombs, but it had been devoured by this wisp of Yin Qi. Where is he? Let's chase him. Lu Ming said. If it was just Yin Qi, Lu Ming didn't care. At most, he would look for another place. But there was an ancient secret technique on the other party, Lu Ming must get it. Cultivating the forbidden physique, he couldn't comprehend the origin's secret technique. So, the 3,000 ancient secret techniques were his strongest defensive means. Each one of them was precious. Furthermore, if he wanted to walk the path of the strongest in the future, all sorts of secret arts would be his foundation, especially the 3,000 ancient secret arts. The more, it would be more beneficial for him in the future. Under the guidance of Bone's guidance, Ming chased after him. With the help of the great god Wind skill, Lu Ming was like a wisp of green smoke. His speed was astonishing. Ordinary people would not be able to catch sight of him. However, Yin Jioling's speed was not slower than him. When Lu Ming reached the edge of the land of thousands of tombs, Bone told him that Yin Jioling had entered the vast starry sky. Lu Ming couldn't rush out because the two races were blocking him. However, Bone Demon had left more than one teleportation formation here. Lu Ming found a new teleportation formation and left the land of thousands of tombs. Then, he activated the teleportation formation on his body and traveled through the void. With their current cultivation, their speed was too fast. Countless planets and the boundless starry sky were left behind by them. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The Dark Pit Demon Mountain was a huge mountain that was suspended in the starry sky. This Dark Pit Demon Mountain was also a place of extreme Yin. In the chaotic universe, it was more famous than the land of thousands of tombs because it was a famous forbidden area in the chaotic universe. Of course, it wasn't too dangerous during normal times. Once the Yin Qi erupted, this place would completely turn into a land of death. No one could get close to it. Even the big shots above the Divine Emperor realm would die if they came. Of course, during this period of time, it was not the time for the Yin Qi to erupt. Therefore, during this period many people came here. They were all here to search for baleful Yin Qi with spirituality. There was no doubt that the Dark Pit Demon Mountain would produce a lot of Yin Qi. On the huge Demon Mountain, people could be seen flashing by from time to time. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared outside the Demon Mountain. This person was full of strong Yin Qi and his face was ferocious. It was Yin Jioling. Mine, it's all mine, no one can take it away. Yin Jioling roared and rushed into the Dark Pit Demon Mountain like a bolt of lightning. After a few breaths, he suddenly appeared in front of a young man. This young man had the cultivation of the third Divine Emperor realm and was very powerful. He was definitely a top genius. However, when he saw Yin Jioling, he was shocked. You're Yin Jioling? The young man was shocked. These candidates of the universe young geniuses list were very famous. Their portraits could be seen in the dreamy divine jade, so they were easy to recognize. Evil Yin Qi, it's mine, go to hell. Yin Jioling roared. His murderous intent was extremely strong. He suddenly charged at the young man. His sharp claws were as sharp as blades, wrapped in dense Yin Qi. Yin Jioling, you're crazy. The young man was shocked and hurriedly defended himself. However, although his cultivation level was one level higher than Yin Jioling's, the difference in battle strength was huge. He could only block one attack, but his forehead was pierced by Yin Jioling's claws and he died on the spot. Yin Jioling moved his hand and a storage ring appeared. Then, a black chi flew out of the storage ring. It was the evil Yin Chi. Furthermore, this baleful Yin Chi seemed to be alive. It was like a small snake that was constantly twisting. This was a wisp of baleful Yin Chi that had its own consciousness. It's the evil Yin Chi with intelligence, haha, it's mine. It's mine. At this moment, a few people passed by and saw the evil Yin Chi. They looked greedy, but when they got close, they suddenly stopped and exclaimed, "It's Yin Jioling, one of the candidates of the Universe Genius list." Several people exclaimed and showed great fear. However, it was too late for them to stop, because Yin Jioling had already attacked them. A few screams resounded and these people were killed by Yin Jioling one after another. Then Yin Jioling opened his mouth and sucked this wisp of evil Yin Chi into his mouth. Suddenly, the evil Yin Chi on Yin Jioling's body trembled and became extremely rich. His aura also increased by a level. Yin Jioling roared excitedly and glanced at the peak of the dark pit demon mountain. Then, he turned into a rainbow light and rushed to the peak of the mountain. This is Yin Jioling? Why does he have such rich evil Yin Chi? Could it be that he has more than one wisp of evil Yin Chi? No matter who he is, let's kill him first. On the dark pit demon mountain, there were ruthless people from various races. Some of them were not afraid of the Sun Moon tribe at all and directly attacked Yin Jioling. However, Yin Jioling was extremely evil and powerful. Those who attacked him were all killed by him, leaving a ground full of corpses. The others were shocked and did not dare to attack Yin Jioling. Chapter 3959. Yin Jioling is going to rush to the top of the dark pit demon mountain. Is his target the pit? However, ordinary people can't get close to the pit at all. Only peerless geniuses can't get close. However, with Yin Jioling's talent, he can definitely reach the top of the mountain. However, the 8 positions near the pit have been occupied by others. If Yin Jioling wants a position, there will definitely be a fierce battle and a peak battle will break out. Let's go and have a look. These people didn't dare to get close to Yin Jioling. They followed Yin Jioling from afar, heading towards the top of the dark pit demon mountain. At the same time, the news quickly spread out. On the dark pit demon mountain, many creatures gathered around and followed Yin Jioling from afar, heading towards the top of the demon mountain. However, when they were close to the top of the mountain, they had to stop and look. Because, in the pit at the top of the mountain, there would be a terrifying demonic sound of death. This demonic sound was very terrifying and could kill people silently. Moreover, this demonic sound of death would adjust the intensity according to the cultivation base. The lower the cultivation base, the lower the impact of the demonic sound of death. The higher the cultivation base, the higher the impact of the demonic sound of death. If one wanted to reach the top of the dark pit demon mountain, no matter what kind of cultivation base one had, it was useless. One must have peerless talent and invincible combat strength to reach the top. As long as one's talent was high enough, one could reach the top even with a low cultivation base. If one's talent wasn't high enough, one couldn't reach the top no matter how high one's cultivation base was. These people were searching at the bottom of the dark pit demon mountain because they couldn't reach the top. If they could reach the top, they would have done so long ago. Because at the top of the demon mountain, in the pit, there would be spiritual Yin Chi rushing out. There was no need to look for it at all. They just had to wait there. Sometimes, there would even be other extreme Yin treasures rushing out. However, all the positions near the sinkhole were occupied by people. If Yin Jioling went up, there would definitely be a battle. These people stopped and watched from afar. They could clearly see that there was a huge pit at the top of the mountain. In each of the 8 directions of the pit, there was a living being. These living beings were either standing or sitting. Their eyes were bright as they stared at the pit, as if waiting for something. Yin Jioling didn't stop at all. He kept moving forward, heading towards the top of the mountain. His speed was extremely fast and he did not stop at all. He only slowed down when he neared the top of the mountain. When Yin Jioling was climbing the mountain, the 8 creatures around the pit also looked at Yin Jioling. At the same time, they also recognized Yin Jioling. Some were expressionless, while others frowned. Especially in front of Yin Jioling, there was a young man about 30 years old. He was burly and more than 6 meters tall. His real body was a gigantic ape, and he was also a terrifying genius. His name was Korean, and he had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer. He looked at Yin Jioling, who was coming up with a dignified expression, but he was not afraid. "Yin Jioling, this place has been occupied by me, you can leave now," the giant ape youth said. "Those who block me shall die." Yin Jioling roared, and the dark Yin Qi in his body kept rolling. The 8 creatures on the top of the mountain were puzzled. Why was Yin Jioling's dark Yin Qi so dense? Did he already have dark Yin Qi? But if he already had dark Yin Qi, why did he still come here? "Yin Jioling, others are afraid of you, but I'm not. You're a candidate for the universe's young geniuses list, hee, I'd like to meet you," Korean said coldly, and his eyes were filled with battle intent. He was also a peerless genius, and he had always been conceited. He had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer, which was 2 layers higher than Yin Jioling. He did not believe that Yin Jioling was stronger than him. "Die!" Yin Jioling roared, and his sharp claws broke through the air, trying to grab Korean's head. Korean shouted, and a terrifying qi burst out. His muscles bulged, and an iron rod appeared in his hand. The iron rod whistled and attacked Yin Jioling. Boom! Their attacks collided, and there was an earth-shattering explosion. But at the next moment, Korean's expression changed drastically, and he was pushed back. His muscles were trembling. Swoosh! Yin Jioling's attack was endless, constantly bursting out, tearing the void apart. The sky was full of sharp claws condensed by Yin Qi, and there were at least hundreds of them, grabbing towards Coriander. Coriander roared, and his divine power erupted. His entire body shone with dazzling golden light, and a giant ape covered in golden fur appeared. It held a golden staff in its hand, and it swept through the army. That giant golden ape was Korean's original secret technique. Rumble! There was a big explosion, and the qi was rolling wildly. However, it was blocked by an invisible force, and the qi couldn't go more than 100 meters away. Once it was 100 meters away, it automatically disappeared. After a series of exchanges, Korean was pushed back again, and he was completely suppressed. There were several wounds on his body, and his bones were bleeding. He was no match for Yin Jioling at all. Not only him, but even the people around him were in disbelief. Korean was not an ordinary person. He was a peerless genius, but he was no match for Yin Jioling even though his cultivation was 2 levels higher. Moreover, Yin Jioling didn't use any powerful weapon, and he was completely relying on his own strength. What they didn't know was that Yin Jioling was no longer Yin Jioling at this moment, but he was possessed by Yin Qi. His current combat strength was stronger than Yin Jioling's previous strength. What's more, the Yin Qi in the Dark Pit Demon Mountain was extremely rich, and Yin Jioling's strength was also enhanced. Therefore, Korean was still no match for Yin Jioling even though his cultivation was 2 levels higher. Yin Jioling became crazier as he fought. The surrounding Yin Qi was driven by him, and it turned into a terrifying attack. It was like a storm, and it was constantly pouring towards Korean. After a few more moves, there were a few more wounds on Korean's body. One of the wounds almost split his body in half. Korean was seriously injured, and his aura was getting weaker and weaker. He was no match for Yin Jioling. "Yin Jioling, brother Yin, I admit defeat. I don't want this position anymore. I will give it to you." Korean shouted and directly admitted defeat. If he continued to fight, he would be in danger. However, Yin Jioling didn't care about him at all, and his attacks became more and more violent. Blood spurted out, and Korean's burly body was directly torn in half by Yin Jioling's claw. Korean was not dead yet, and his eyes were full of horror. He desperately screamed and begged for mercy, but it was useless. Yin Jioling's claw directly crushed Korean's head. Korean was dead. Around the dark pit, there were a few people who were frightened. But there were also people who showed a strong fighting intent. For example, one of them was a young man who was more than 2 meters tall, wearing a purple armor. His purple hair fluttered in the wind, and his fighting intent was extremely strong. Chapter 3960. However, Yin Jioling didn't intend to continue the battle. After killing Coriander, he took a few steps and came to the side of the pit. Then, he jumped directly into the pit and disappeared. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Yin Jioling jumped directly into the pit. Was he looking for death? The pit was very dangerous. The Dark Pit Demon Mountain was a famous forbidden area in the primitive universe because of the pit. No one knew what was in the pit. No one knew how the pit was formed. They only knew that it was very terrifying and dangerous. In history, some powerful cultivators had entered the pit and wanted to explore it, but in the end, they didn't come out. None of the people who had entered the pit had ever come back out. But Yin Jioling jumped into the pit himself. Wasn't he looking for death? At this time, Lu Ming also arrived at the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. The Bone Demon sensed that Yin Jioling was at the top of the mountain. Lu Ming rushed to the top of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. When he was halfway there, he saw Yin Jioling killing Coriander and then jumping into the pit. Damn it! Lu Ming shouted angrily. The ancient secret skill was still in Yin Jioling's body. Lu Ming was a little anxious and exerted his speed to the extreme. However, those who were watching in front of him blocked his way. Go away! Lu Ming hollered. His figure did not stop. He dashed toward the crowd, bringing about a violent airwave. Boy, who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to go away? Go away yourself. Someone saw that Lu Ming, who was just a quasi-emperor, was so arrogant. He was instantly displeased and wanted to give Lu Ming a slap. Bang! Lu Ming threw a punch. The person screamed and was sent flying, vomiting blood. The others were shocked. The person who had attacked Lu Ming just now was at the second Divine Emperor realm. However, he was not Lu Ming's match and was injured by Lu Ming's punch. They were shocked by Lu Ming's strength. Another monstrous genius wanted to climb the mountain. The surrounding people couldn't help but make way for him. It wasn't that they were afraid of Lu Ming. Among them, there were people with extremely high cultivation bases who weren't afraid of Lu Ming at all. They were just curious and wanted to see if Lu Ming could withstand the demonic tune of death and reach the peak. After reaching the top of the mountain, would he be able to compete with the remaining 7 people? This was what they wanted to see. Therefore, Lu Ming quickly stepped into the area enveloped by the demonic tune of death. When Lu Ming stepped into the area, a cacophony of voices rushed into Lu Ming's ears. This voice was mournful, disorderly, sharp, crazy. It was hard to describe the specific emotion, but it contained many different emotions. This kind of voice could drive people crazy. Those who were not mentally strong would instantly go crazy. Lu Ming's state of mind was extremely firm. His mind was empty of other things. He allowed these voices to enter his ears without any ripples in his heart. His speed almost did not decrease as he rushed towards the top of the mountain. However, the closer he got to the top of the mountain, the more terrifying the demonic tune was. In the end, the voice contained a terrifying energy attack. The cells in Lu Ming's body trembled, and the forbidden force spread all over his body, blocking the energy in the demonic tune of death. In the end, Lu Ming set foot on the top of the mountain, standing at the place where Coriander stood just now. Standing on the top of the mountain, there was a large pit in front of him. It was actually a cave, dark and unfathomable. Dense Yin Qi continued to seep out from the pit. Just one look at it was enough to make one feel a sense of terror in their hearts. Lu Ming's face was a little gloomy. Yin Jioling jumped into the pit. He couldn't follow him down, for the sake of an ancient secret technique. However, since he was here, Lu Ming decided to wait until he got a wisp of spiritual Yin Qi before leaving. On the top of the mountain, the other 7 people also looked at Lu Ming curiously. They had never seen such a young man with a quasi-emperor cultivation base, so they were naturally a little curious. Interesting. Among them, there was a young man in purple armor with a head full of purple hair. He stared at Lu Ming, revealing a raging battle intent. Suddenly, he stepped out, and in a few flashes, he appeared in front of Lu Ming. A powerful aura pressed towards Lu Ming. Battle God Yuan Wen is going to make a move. They are both quasi-emperors, he must be itching for a fight. Battle God Yuan Wen is almost invincible in the same realm. Now that he saw an unfamiliar quasi-emperor genius, It would be strange if he didn't make a move. There were bursts of exclamations all around. Battle God Yuan Wen. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly, and battle intent involuntarily appeared in his eyes. This was the battle intent that was involuntarily aroused when encountering a powerful opponent. Because Battle God Yuan Wen was worthy of Lu Ming's battle intent, although the Battle God Yuan Wen was only a quasi-emperor. However, Battle God Yuan Wen was too famous. The first in the top 100 quasi-emperor list. He was a peerless genius of the Battle Saint tribe, one of the top 10 tribes. He was known as the #1 talent of the Battle Saint tribe. He had always been invincible in the same realm. No one was a match for him. Without a doubt, he was also one of the candidates of the Universe Prodigy list. Although he hadn't broken through to the Godly Emperor realm, no one doubted whether he could break through to the Godly Emperor realm. Breaking through to the Godly Emperor realm was a certainty. Even entering the Universe Prodigy list in the future was also a certainty. It was also very likely that he would enter the top 10. Although such a character was only a quasi-emperor, his name had already shaken the universe. Lu Ming had also heard of him long ago. In the face of such a character, Lu Ming's battle intent was also ignited. Battle God Yuan Wen could be said to be standing at the peak of the quasi-emperors in the entire primitive universe. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him the #1 quasi-emperor expert. Lu Ming wanted to know if his forbidden body was stronger or if Battle God Yuan Wen was stronger. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body and collided with Battle God Yuan Wen's aura. The void trembled violently. The void was compressed by a terrifying force, distorting and shattering it. Interesting. I can feel that you are very strong. There are indeed crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the primitive universe. There is actually someone like you among the quasi-emperors. Good, very good. Battle God Yuan Wen nodded repeatedly, revealing a look of excitement. The Battle Saint tribe was a battle maniac. They loved to fight big battles and also loved to find other geniuses to fight. Battle God Yuan Wen was even more battle-hungry than ordinary Battle Saint tribe members. I have heard of your name. Battle God Yuan Wen, you are said to be invincible among those of the same realm. Coincidentally, I have never met a worthy opponent among those of the same realm. I hope you won't disappoint me. Lu Ming said. The cells in his body trembled slightly. Lu Ming was speaking the truth. However, in the ears of others, Lu Ming was too arrogant. What big words! Do you think you are invincible after reaching the peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain? Do you think you are invincible among those of the same realm? Someone sneered and mocked. Chapter 3961. Lu Ming's words attracted a lot of ridicule. They thought that Lu Ming was too arrogant to compare himself to the Battle God Yuan Wen. He even faintly did not put the Battle God Yuan Wen in his eyes. He was too arrogant. In the universe, at least so far, among the quasi-emperors, there was no one who was qualified to talk to the Battle God Yuan Wen like this. Lu Ming ignored the ridicule of others. His attention was all on the Battle God Yuan Wen. Before the fight even started, the Battle God Yuan Wen had already brought some pressure to him. Lu Ming had never encountered this before. Haha, I hope your strength is as strong as your confidence. I also want to say something in your words, that is, I hope you won't let me down. The Battle God Yuan Wen laughed. As soon as his voice fell, his aura had reached its peak. Boom! The Battle God Yuan Wen suddenly took a step forward. The ground roared. His person was like a mountain, rushing towards Lu Ming. He threw out a punch. The purple divine power boiled and turned into a terrifying fist energy, crushing towards Lu Ming. Good! Lu Ming let out a long howl and similarly threw a punch. Lu Ming did not borrow the power of Qiuqiu. It was all his own power. The opponent was at the same level as him. If he borrowed the power of Qiuqiu, he would not be able to survive. His belief of being invincible would be shaken. Boom! The two terrifying fist energies collided in the air, causing the void to tremble. The middle of the collision turned into chaos. The fist energy was like a wave, sweeping in all directions. However, it dissipated into nothingness 100 meters away. Lu Ming and the Battle God Yuan Wen retreated at the same time. Good. I won't test you anymore. Take this, Battle 18 Strikes. The battle god Yuanwen roared. His figure flashed and struck out. The space collapsed. He used a terrifying secret technique, bursting out a terrifying killing power, and attacked Lu Ming. The destructive power surged towards Lu Ming like a tide. Great divine wind technique, great shattering technique. Lu Ming's heart moved. The two ancient secret techniques were activated. He attacked continuously, causing a hideous crack to appear in the void. The two figures were like two planets, colliding fiercely. All kinds of attacking techniques clashed continuously. Boom, 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 boom. Between heaven and earth, there was a violent roar. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows, but it was difficult to determine the victor. Impressive, impressive. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. At this moment, he had already activated the battle symbol formula to increase his combat power by 5 times, but he still couldn't do anything to battle god Yuanwen. The battle god Yuanwen also had a terrifying secret art. It was an innate secret art of the Battle Saint tribe and was able to erupt forth with combat prowess several times stronger than before. It was somewhat similar to the battle character art. This was Lu Ming's first time encountering such a powerful genius in a battle of the same level. 6 times, Lu Ming bellowed in his heart. The fight incantation had increased his combat ability by 6 times. His combat ability had increased by a notch in an instant. Ha, impressive. The battle god Yuanwen was even more excited. His attacks suddenly changed. They were incomparably sharp and stronger than before. Could it be the origin ancient word? Lu Ming's heart moved. Although the quantum art wasn't with him and Lu Ming couldn't sense whether the other party had the origin ancient word or not, he had been controlling the origin ancient word for a long time. In the battle with the battle god Yuanwen, he vaguely felt that the other party had also controlled the origin ancient word. With the battle god Yuanwen's talent, it was normal for him to control the origin ancient word. The attacks of the two were even more terrifying. The battle was even more intense. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 100 blows. Everyone in the surroundings was dumbfounded. Including the other 6 terrifying creatures on the top of the demon mountain, they were all dumbfounded. Because the attacks of Lu Ming and the battle god Yuanwen were too terrifying. Was this still a battle between quasi-emperors? The most important thing was that someone could fight with the battle god Yuanwen like this? Who was this person? Was there such a person in the primitive universe? Quick, open the Dreamy Divine Jade and broadcast the battle to the Dreamy Divine Jade. Someone shouted. The others woke up from their dream and quickly took out the Dreamy Divine Jade to broadcast the battle live. In the public area of the Dreamy Divine Jade, several messages appeared almost at the same time. Shocking, the battle god Yuanwen has met an opponent. Shocking, at the same level, someone can fight Yuanwen to a draw. The battle god Yuanwen's opponent is here. The continuous messages detonated the Dreamy Divine Jade and the entire universe. In an instant, countless people watched the battle between Lu Ming and the battle god Yuanwen through the Dreamy Divine Jade. At first, many people didn't believe it. They didn't believe that someone could fight with the battle god Yuanwen, but after watching the live broadcast, they were shocked. It was actually true. God, who is this person? He can actually fight with the battle god Yuanwen. There is actually such a genius in the universe. I haven't seen him before. This person is most likely hiding his true appearance. It's a pity that I'm not at the scene. Otherwise, I can judge who he is through his life origin aura. What a terrifying battle power. In the future, there will be another strong competitor in the top 10 of the universe prodigy list. The universe was in an uproar. After all, the battle god Yuanwen was known as the #1 among his peers and dominated the entire universe. The appearance of such a character would definitely attract attention. As long as he didn't die halfway, his future rise was certain. At this moment, many geniuses in the universe were alarmed. For example, the geniuses on the universe prodigy list were paying attention with a dignified look. Because such a character would definitely have an impact on their status in the future, they naturally had to pay more attention. Lu Ming didn't know that he had attracted the attention of countless people in the universe. At this moment, Lu Ming was wholeheartedly immersed in the battle. He only felt incomparably carefree. He had never fought with someone of the same level so happily. This was a completely different feeling from fighting with someone of a higher level. Boom! With a violent explosion, the two of them retreated rapidly and faced each other from afar. Awesome! Battle God Yuanwen was the same as Lu Ming. He also felt incomparably carefree. He was so excited that his body was trembling. The power you control is terrifying. You can actually fight against my battle saint force. Come, let's continue the battle. I want to borrow your strength to step into the deity emperor realm. Battle God Yuanwen said. His eyes were shining brightly. That's exactly what I want. Lu Ming said. Every cell in his body was trembling. His eyes were filled with excitement and battle intent. The power controlled by the battle god Yuanwen wasn't to be underestimated. It was a terrifying power called the Battle Saint Force. This power was unique to the Battle Saint tribe. However, even in the history of the Battle Saint tribe, there were very few people who could control this power. Everyone who could control this power was a hero of their generation. Chapter 3962. Battle God Yuanwen was the only one among the younger generation of the Battle Saint tribe who had grasped the Battle Saint force. Of course, it didn't mean that the Battle Saint force could really contend against the Taboo force. The reason why Battle God Yuanwen and Lu Ming were evenly matched was because other than the Battle Saint force, Battle God Yuanwen also had the God force. The God force that had awakened the Origin Source God force multiple times, coupled with the Origin Source secret technique, was boundless. Furthermore, he had the secret technique that was compatible with his Battle Saint body. It could be said that Battle God Yuanwen was very comprehensive in all aspects, with almost no weaknesses. There was another important reason, and that was that Lu Ming's Taboo force had yet to reach its peak. There was still a lot of potential for it to grow. Each of Lu Ming's cells could fuse with a secret technique rune. When Lu Ming's cells fused with more secret technique runes, his Taboo force would naturally become stronger. Right now, Lu Ming's Taboo force wasn't strong enough. Therefore, it seemed that he was evenly matched with the Battle Saint force. Both of their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. In the next moment, the two of them turned into two streaks of light and clashed once again. All kinds of secret techniques collided in the void. The two of them used their full strength, erupting their techniques to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged over 100 moves. Lu Ming didn't plan to use the Gale Pearl because someone like Battle God Yuanwen would definitely have a powerful killing weapon. It would be useless even if he used it. Moreover, it was a fair battle. There was no need to use the Gale Pearl. As for the Bingxian Rod, there were so many people watching. Lu Ming would not use it as much as possible. As for Battle God Yuanwen, he had a similar thought. He naturally had a terrifying killing weapon, but he and Lu Ming were having a fair battle. If he used his killing weapon, then he wouldn't be Battle God Yuanwen. In fact, their killing weapons were only used when their cultivation base was much higher and their lives were in danger. It could be considered a kind of trump card. Around the Dark Pit Devil Mountain, in various parts of the universe, the people who were watching through the illusory heavenly jade were all silent. They were all watching this peak battle between quasi-emperors. For a quasi-emperor to be able to erupt in a battle of this level, it was hard to come across such a scene even in countless years. Every single one of these characters could suppress an era. For two of them to appear at the same time in an era was too difficult, too rare. They had only been heard of in legends. The battle between Lu Ming and the Battle God Yuanwen became more and more intense. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on Battle God Yuanwen's shoulder. The power of the Great Godly Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique almost dislocated Battle God Yuanwen's entire arm. However, his Battle Sacred body was extremely powerful. It forcibly blocked the attack, but blood still flowed out. His blood was purple and emitted divine light. When Lu Ming hit Battle God Yuanwen's finger was like a sword. The full power of the Battle 18 strikes erupted, turning into a terrifying penetrating power that penetrated Lu Ming's abdomen in one fell swoop. A bloody hole appeared in Lu Ming's abdomen, and blood was also flowing out. Lu Ming's blood, mixed with the purple blood of the battle god Yuan, spilled on the dark pit demon mountain, and some spilled into the dark pit. Awesome again! That's exactly what I want. The two continued to fight. After a few moves, both of them were injured again. Divine blood drifted out, but the two of them did not seem to feel it. Their fighting spirit became stronger and stronger, and their eyes became brighter and brighter. Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen's cultivation were originally at the limit of the quasi-emperor realm. They both needed an opportunity to break through and step into the divine emperor realm. At this moment, the two of them saw this opportunity in each other at the same time. They felt that they were not far away from the breakthrough. The more they fought, the more condensed their essence, qi, and spirit became. Are they about to break through? There were 6 other powerful existences at the peak of the dark pit demon mountain. No matter what their cultivation was, they were all monstrous figures. Otherwise, they would not have been able to set foot on the peak of the dark pit demon mountain. They were the closest to Lu Ming and Yuan. They could clearly feel that the two of them were about to break through. If the two of them really broke through in the battle, it would probably create a legend in the primitive universe and become a topic of conversation after dinner. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Rumble! In the dark pit, a violent roar suddenly came from an unknown depth. Everyone's face changed wildly. What's going on? Is the pit going to erupt? Impossible, it's not the time to erupt at all. In the dark pit demon mountain, there were cries of horror. The dark pit demon mountain was a terrifying forbidden area in the universe. Once the pit really erupted, none of them on the dark pit demon mountain would be able to leave. Rumble! A violent roar sounded again, and then a terrifying force erupted from the pit. Then a figure rushed out of the pit. It was Yin Jiuling. Yin Jiuling had jumped into the pit himself, but at this moment he was rushed out. Was the vibration just now caused by Yin Jiuling? What did Yin Jiuling encounter in the pit? Also, he jumped into the pit and came out alive? There was an uproar at the scene. He was the first person to enter the pit and come out alive. Countless people wanted to know what Yin Jiuling encountered in the pit. But at this moment, 2 dazzling rays of light rushed out of the pit. One was blood red and the other was purple crystal clear. The 2 rays of light entangled together and turned into a light shield, enveloping the surroundings of the pit. Lu Ming, battle god Yuan, and the other 6 powerful existences, plus Yin Jiuling, were all shrouded in the rays of light. As for the other people on the dark pit demon mountain, they were not shrouded, but the rays of light blocked their vision, making them unable to see what was happening inside. The illusory heavenly jade could not illuminate the situation inside. At this moment, whether it was the people on the dark pit demon mountain or the people watching through the illusory heavenly jade, they were all confused. What happened? Why would 2 rays of light rush out and shroud the peak of the dark pit demon mountain? They couldn't guess. Rumble! The people outside saw that the light shield formed by the purple-red rays of light was constantly vibrating and emitting a roar. The people inside are bombarding the light shield. Could it be that they can't come out? Someone guessed. Obviously, they guessed right. After a period of time, no one rushed out. Outside, there were bold people who tried to control the divine weapon to attack the purple-red light shield, but when the divine weapon approached the purple-red rays of light, the divine weapon was like ice meeting fire and directly melted. The others were scared and hurriedly moved away, not daring to approach. Could it be the Qingqing domain? In the illusory heavenly jade, someone sent out a message with a little doubt. Then, someone recognized that the speaker was a mighty figure from the Blood Clan, one of the top 10 clans. This caused everyone to be shocked. Even the powerful figures of the top 10 races were alarmed by this matter. Chapter 3963. King Realm? What's that? Immediately, many people raised their doubts. Because they had never heard of it before. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure. The Blood Tribe expert said. That's right. This is the King Realm. At the next moment, Someone spoke out and gave a definite answer. Someone recognized that the person who spoke was an ancient existence from the Buddha tribe. The Buddha tribe was also one of the top 10 tribes. The existence who spoke was a legendary figure who had lived for a long time. Many people were shocked. It was just a fight between two juniors, but it actually attracted such a powerful existence. It was really terrifying. "Senior, can you tell us what the King Realm is?" Someone asked. The King Realm would only appear occasionally in some very ancient places. For example, the Dark Pit Demon Mountain is an extremely ancient forbidden land. If I'm not wrong, it's the divine blood of the two young geniuses that activated the King Realm. Their talents are too strong. The ancient existence from the Buddha tribe explained. Everyone was shocked. Even the ancient existence from the Buddha tribe sighed. The two young geniuses' talents were too strong. This was the greatest recognition. At the same time, they were also enlightened. It turned out that the purplish-red light shield was caused by the battle between the two young geniuses. It was stimulated by the divine blood of the two young geniuses. No wonder the color was purplish-red. Lu Ming's blood was red, while Battle God Yuanwen's blood was purple. However, no one said anything. They were waiting for the ancient existence from the Buddha tribe to explain. The ancient existence from the Buddha tribe continued. Once the King Realm is activated, the group of people with the strongest talents will be enveloped and trapped inside. Only the strongest among them will be able to come out. What? Only the strongest of those trapped inside can come out. Doesn't that mean that most of the people trapped inside will die? Everyone was shocked. That's right. This rule is very cruel. The people inside will have to kill each other. The winner will be the king. Therefore, it's called the King Realm. Those who come out alive will be the strongest king. The ancient existence from the Buddha tribe said. "CSI." Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This time, many big tribes were alarmed and it caused a huge uproar. Because these big tribes had peerless geniuses inside. For example, the Battle Saint tribe, the Sun Moon tribe, the Azura tribe. Among these people, only the strongest could come out. Didn't that mean that everyone else had to die? Among the people here, who could be called the strongest? Was Battle God Yuanwen the strongest at the same level? However, there was still the person who fought against the Battle God, Yuanwen. Was his cultivation the strongest? There were quite a few of them with extremely high cultivation bases. Wouldn't that mean that someone like the Battle God, Yuanwen, would fall inside? In the King Realm, there are usually great restrictions. For example, it is difficult to use powerful weapons, and the cultivation will be suppressed to a certain level. As for the details, each King Realm is different, so I don't know. That ancient existence from the Buddha race added. Lu Ming, Battle God Yuanwen, and Yin Jioling stood in different directions in the area covered by the purple-red light shield. Their faces were gloomy. In the beginning, they were indeed a little flustered and attacked the purple-red light barrier. However, they were all extraordinary people and quickly calmed down. "Do any of you know what is going on?" Battle God Yuanwen asked. Although he wanted to continue fighting with Lu Ming and break through completely, in the face of such a situation, they could only stop fighting. "I don't know. You have to ask Yin Jioling," said a ferocious-looking young man who was about 30 years old, looking at Yin Jioling. That young man was from the Azura clan. He was older than Lu Ming, Yin Jioling, and Battle God Yuanwen, but he was still a young man. His cultivation base was very high, reaching the 5th godly emperor layer. Besides, he was also a terrifying genius. Otherwise, no matter how high his cultivation base was, he wouldn't have been able to reach the top of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. The others also looked at Yin Jioling because Yin Jioling had jumped into the pit and then there was a change. If it wasn't caused by Yin Jioling, who else could it be? In fact, even Lu Ming thought so. Yin Jioling's eyes were ferocious, like two pitch-black vortexes, filled with murderous qi. After a short while, his qi had become even more terrifying. He had broken through to the 3rd godly emperor layer. It's the King Realm. It's not caused by that boy. At that moment, Gu Mo's voice resounded in Lin Fan's mind. "What's the King Realm?" asked Lu Ming curiously. "Look at the illusory godly jade." Some old guys in the universe should be able to recognize it. Maybe someone will give you an explanation. Said Gu Mo. Immediately, Lu Ming took out the illusory godly jade. The illusory godly jade wasn't isolated, so he could still see what the others were talking about. In fact, Battle God Yuanwen and the others also took out their illusory godly jades and wanted to ask their elders. Then, they saw the explanation of the powerful cultivator of the Buddha clan. After reading it, they were shocked and released a powerful qi. They looked at the others vigilantly. What's going on? My cultivation base is only at the first godly emperor layer. My cultivation base is also at the first godly emperor layer. Damn it. Some people shouted angrily. Especially the young genius of the Azura clan. His face was even more ferocious. Originally, among the 9 people here, his cultivation was the most outstanding. There was only one person who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. On top of that, with his talent, he was confident that he could keep all of them here. Battle God Yuanwen was strong, but he was only at the first emperor layer, so he didn't take him seriously. But now, his cultivation base was at the first godly emperor layer. He didn't have an advantage anymore. The others, regardless of their cultivation level, were all at the first godly emperor layer. First godly emperor layer? Whispered Lu Ming. He was at the first godly emperor layer, so his cultivation level couldn't be increased, so he didn't feel anything. I can't even use powerful weapons. Look at the Zephyr Pearl and the Shen Ice Rod. Lu Ming tried to control the Shen Ice Rod and the Zephyr Pearl, but he realized that there was no reaction at all. It was as if the connection between them had been cut off. Lu Ming's heart sank. He couldn't use powerful weapons. Only the strongest cultivators could get out of here. Lu Ming wasn't completely confident. First of all, Battle God Yuanwen was extremely difficult to deal with. Besides, the other 7 geniuses were also terrifying. Even if there wasn't a genius like Battle God Yuanwen, the weaker ones were also terrifying. For example, Yin Jiuling, who was a candidate for the Universe Young Geniuses list. Those people were also terrifyingly strong. They were all at the first godly emperor layer. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen didn't have an advantage because their cultivation levels weren't high enough. Instead, they were at a disadvantage. Chapter 3964. The peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountains suddenly fell into silence. Only Yin Jiuling occasionally roared. The other 8 people looked at each other and saw a strong murderous intent in each other's eyes. If they wanted to leave alive, they had to get rid of the others. Interesting, really interesting. It's so interesting to be able to get rid of so many geniuses at once. I will use you as my stepping stone to break through to the godly emperor realm. Battle God Yuanwen grinned and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. At this time, he was still fighting like a madman. His aura seemed to have reached a critical point. Lu Ming's aura was also extremely powerful and had reached a peak. However, no one made the first move. They were all on guard against each other, waiting for the others to make the first move so that they could reap the benefits. The scene was in a stalemate. At this time, Yin Jiuling roared again and jumped into the pit, as if something in the pit was attracting him. However, when he jumped into the pit, there was another powerful aura that rushed out of the pit and forced Yin Jiuling out. This madman, I suggest that we make a move first and get rid of Yin Jiuling so that he won't cause any more trouble. What do you think? The young man from the Shura clan said. This person was called Xiao Moyun, and he had been eyeing Yin Jiuling since the beginning. Among the 9 people present, Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen were undoubtedly the strongest at the same level, but their cultivation was only at the quasi-emperor realm, so they were not the biggest threat to him. The biggest threat to him was Yin Jiuling. After all, Yin Jiuling was a candidate for the Universe Prodigy list. He was extremely powerful and was one of the top geniuses in the universe. His current cultivation was suppressed to the first godly emperor realm, just like him. He had no confidence to fight against Yin Jiuling, so he had to get rid of Yin Jiuling first. On the side, the others were also tempted. Their thoughts were similar to Xiao Moyun's. Kill! Xiao Moyun took the lead and condensed a Shura sword with his divine power. It broke through the void and slashed at Yin Jiuling. Yin Jioling saw someone attacking him and roared, revealing a ferocious murderous intent. He pounced at Xiao Moyun with his sharp claws. Evil Yin Qi filled the air. Clang, clang. The sound of metal colliding rang out continuously. The two of them had exchanged more than 10 moves in an instant. Then, a figure retreated, covered in blood. It was Xiao Moyun. After exchanging a few blows, he was injured. This made him extremely shocked. Yin Jioling's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. Yin Jioling roared and continued to attack Xiao Moyun. What are you waiting for? Xiao Moyun roared. However, none of the people on the side made a move. They all looked on coldly. It wouldn't be too late to let Yin Jioling deal with Xiao Moyun first. Moreover, Xiao Moyun could consume a portion of Yin Jioling's strength. Then, they would deal with Yin Jioling. In this way, he could deal with the Xiao Moyun and Yin Jioling at the same time. Of those who could make it this far, which one of them was simple? Xiao Moyun wanted to use the others to deal with Yin Jioling first, but the others directly used him. All of you deserve to die. Xiao Moyun instantly guessed the thoughts of others and roared, but Yin Jioling had already attacked him, so he could only do his best to resist. However, Yin Jioling was too strong. He was originally a candidate of the Universe Prodigy list. After being possessed by the evil Yin energy, his battle strength became even stronger, and his attacks were crazily aggressive. Although Xiao Moyun was also a peerless monster, he wasn't qualified to be a candidate of the Universe Prodigy list. In a battle of the same level, his battle strength was weaker than Yin Jioling's. He was completely at a disadvantage and was suppressed by Yin Jioling. After more than 10 moves, Xiao Moyun was almost beheaded by Yin Jioling. Although he narrowly avoided it, he was still seriously injured. Damn it, all of you deserve to die, then die together. Xiao Moyun knew that he couldn't escape, so he roared crazily. His body swelled rapidly, and he was about to self-destruct. However, Yin Jioling didn't seem to know, and continued to rush over. His sharp claws pierced through Xiao Moyun's head. Boom! At this moment, Xiao Moyun's body suddenly exploded, and a terrifying force swept in all directions. However, Lu Ming, Battle God Yuan 1, and the others were already prepared. They had already retreated to the edge of the King Qing domain, and set up layers of defense in front of them, blocking the power of Xiao Moyun's self-destruction. Yin Jioling was at the center of Xiao Moyun's self-destruction, so he suffered the most intense destructive impact. Yin Jioling's figure retreated rapidly, and there were many hideous wounds on his body, and black blood flowed out. However, in the pit, Yin Qi was constantly attracted by Yin Jioling, and it poured into his body. His wounds were quickly healing. The others' faces became solemn. This Yin Jioling is not right. Could it be that he has gone mad? It's more terrifying than I imagined. Let's attack together and get rid of him first. It's best to attack together. The remaining few people were transmitting their voices to each other. The next moment, among the remaining 5 people, 4 rushed out at the same time and attacked Yin Jioling. There was still one person who didn't attack. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan 1 didn't attack either. However, when the 4 experts joined forces, their power was extremely shocking. Because each of these people was a peerless genius, and each of them had the combat strength of a divine Emperor Realm expert. Yin Jioling roared and pounced on the 4 people. The 2 sides started a fierce battle. The 4 experts joined forces to fight Yin Jioling, and Yin Jioling suddenly fell into a disadvantage. He was hit continuously, and there were several wounds on his body. Yin Jioling was injured by Xiao Moyun's self-destruction, and his combat strength wasn't at its peak. When the 4 experts saw that Yin Jioling was injured, their attacks became more violent. At the same time, they were transmitting their voices to each other. Those 3 guys don't attack. Very well, after we kill Yin Jioling, we will kill them, and then the 4 of us will fight to determine the winner. What do you think? Okay, it depends on who can go out in the end. The 4 discussed secretly, and their attacks were fierce. For a time, Yin Jioling was in danger, and there were more and more wounds on his body. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, and he was considering whether to attack. because the ancient secret skill left by the bone demon was with Yin Jiuling, and he had to get it. But in the end, Lu Ming still didn't attack. The current situation was very complicated, and it was better to preserve a little bit of strength. After more than 10 moves, Yin Jiuling's situation became more critical. His body was tattered, and it seemed that he was going to die at any time. Rumble. At this moment, there was a violent vibration from the bottom of the pit, and then, a strong Yin Qi rushed out of the pit. There were a few strands of Yin Qi in the Yin Qi. Chapter 3965. Among the Yin Qi, there were a few strands of Yin Qi. These strands of Yin Qi seemed to be alive, like small snakes that were swimming around. This was a Yin energy that possessed spirituality. Originally, the dark pit would spew out dark Yin Qi with spirituality. Previously, battle god Yuanwen and the others had been guarding here, waiting for the dark Yin Qi to come out. At this moment, seeing the Yin Qi spurt out, the people present were not too surprised. At this moment, being alive was more important than anything else. Only a few of them dashed forward and grabbed at the murderous aura. They were Lu Ming, battle god Yuanwen, and Yin Jiuling. Yin Jiuling roared and rushed to the pit desperately. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and the Yin Qi rushed towards Yin Jiuling. Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen's face changed. Swish. Lu Ming condensed a huge hand with his taboo power. With a grab, he caught a wisp of Yin Qi with spirituality in his hand. Battle god Yuanwen shot out 2 beams of light from his eyes. These 2 beams of light were like 2 chains, entangling the Yin Qi and collecting it. 4 strands of spiritual Yin Qi were collected by Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen, and the remaining 2 strands were sucked into Yin Jiuling's mouth. However, Yin Jiuling absorbed the Yin Qi wholeheartedly, but ignored his own defense, and was bombarded by the attacks of the 4 masters. Bang! Yin Jiuling's body directly exploded into pieces. Only his head was left. It flew out and was wrapped in dense evil Yin Qi. At this moment, the Yin Qi that rushed out of the pit suddenly rolled back and fell back into the pit. Yin Jiuling's head took the opportunity to rush into the Yin Qi, and with the Yin Qi, it rushed into the pit and disappeared in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. The 4 masters looked at each other with a pale face. Yin Jiuling was forced to rush into the pit, and they didn't know whether he was dead or not. If it was someone else, they would be relieved because they would never return after rushing into the pit. But Yin Jiuling had rushed down once before, but he came out safe and sound, so they were not confident. Who knew whether Yin Jiuling was dead or not? Forget it, let's get rid of these 3 people first. Yes, Yin Jiuling only has 1 head left, and he is seriously injured. He probably won't survive. Let's get rid of them first, and then we will decide the winner. The 4 masters transmitted their voices to each other, and they glanced at Lu Ming, battle god Yuanwen, and another middle-aged man. Let's join forces. The middle-aged man's face changed wildly, and he quickly said. The reason why he didn't make a move before was that he wanted to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight, because he always felt that Yin Jiuling was very strange and wouldn't be killed so easily. He didn't expect that Yin Jiuling would be killed so easily. At this time, when he saw the 4 masters looking at them, he was shocked. It's too late. I'll send you to hell. 2 of the experts charged toward the middle-aged man while the other 2 charged toward Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen in a flash. One of them. They were confident enough. Although Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen were strong, they were all at the divine emperor realm. They could deal with Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen. Let's fight. Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen were fearless, and they roared and attacked. 1 of them against 1. The 2 sides collided in an instant, and they continued to attack each other. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 moves. However, their opponents were indeed powerful. Although they were suppressed to the 1st godly emperor layer, they were still able to kill cultivators of the 4th godly emperor layer. Although Lu Ming tried his best, he was still at a disadvantage, and he retreated quickly. On the other side, battle god Yuanwen also retreated quickly, and he was also at a disadvantage. Sure enough, those who could step on the dark pit demon mountain weren't simple. They weren't much weaker than Yin Jiuling. As soon as Lu Ming retreated, The other party chased after him and continued to attack him. Explode! Lu Ming shouted, and his whole body glowed. All the secret techniques turned into dazzling brilliance, covering Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the battle character formula increased his fighting strength by 6 times, and the Great Holy Wind technique and Great Shattering technique were activated to the extreme. Boom, boom, boom. Both sides exchanged more than 10 moves, and Lu Ming's chest was pierced by a sword chi. He coughed up blood and retreated. However, despite being injured, Lu Ming's eyes were still bright, and he had a firm and unyielding belief. There was only motivation when there was pressure. There was a sense of crisis, and there was more motivation. At this moment, he could not use his trump card, and even Chiu Chiu could not move. He could only rely on himself. Lu Ming was excited because the opportunity to break through was getting more and more obvious. Previously, when he fought with Battle God Yuan Wen, he felt the opportunity to break through. He felt that he was only a step away from breaking through. At this moment, facing the crisis, this feeling was even stronger. Fight, fight, let's fight to our heart's content. Come on, you don't seem to have any strength. Ha! On the other side, Battle God Yuan Wen also laughed, without a trace of fear. Instead, he was more excited. He also felt the opportunity to break through. At this moment, a shrill scream was heard. The middle-aged man, besieged by the 2 experts, screamed and died on the spot. After killing the middle-aged man, the 2 experts also pounced on Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan Wen. In this way, it became 2 against 1. Originally, Lu Ming was facing one of them, and facing 2 of them was even more dangerous. Lu Ming's heart was pierced by a sword chi. Then, a terrifying fist force hit his abdomen. Lu Ming flew out, vomiting blood, and his body almost exploded. However, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells gushed out crazily, and his injury was quickly healing. Soon, just a little bit more, Lu Ming's eyes were bright and he was a little excited. In the face of a life and death crisis, his potential was stimulated to the extreme. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and took the initiative to attack the 2 experts. Bang, bang, bang. After a series of collisions, Lu Ming was injured again and was forced to retreat. Let's kill him in one go. Kill! After injuring Lu Ming, the 2 experts unleashed their ultimate moves and attacked Lu Ming, wanting to kill Lu Ming completely. But at this moment, boom! A violent aura rushed out of Lu Ming's body, like a volcanic eruption, bringing with it a violent burst of energy. Breakthrough! At this moment, Lu Ming finally broke through and stepped into the Divine Emperor realm. At the moment of breaking through to the Divine Emperor realm, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells was stimulated to the extreme, and all of it was transformed into Lu Ming's cultivation. Hungry! In an instant, Lu Ming was engulfed by endless hunger, as if he had not eaten for 100,000 years. Incomparable hunger was revealed in every cell. Let me absorb it. With a thought in Lu Ming's mind, piles of elven tree heart flew out, and the surging life essence madly converged towards Lu Ming. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.